Hopefully your connection or the connection is better this week. I did notice that after you disconnected the game last time, when you rejoined, I was really crackly. It was okay before though.
Hello, good evening. Welcome back to IIRL on Twitch. Hope you're really well. Hope you've had a fantastic week last week. Okay, once again, out on track. We are very much into the mid-season tracks now. That European stops on the circuits on the calendar. I'm joined this week once again by DemonJonzey. Good evening, Demon.
Oh, hello. You again.
Me again. You again, more like.
So, yes, Canada. Tricky track. Not everyone's favourite.
Very. I think it's one of my least favourite, if not my least favourite.
Could be quite a few incidents. Going back to my racing days, I remember it being quite a tricky track. Got a full grid though, 20 drivers. That's good to see.
Yes,
At least
full
it was
grid.
better than last week. It was only 15, I think, wasn't it?
Yes, 15.
At Baku, and it was very action-packed and dramatic. So hopefully we get something with a lot of fucking points again.
Yeah, obviously we're hoping not for 5 safety cars tonight.
Are we
But
not?
on this track it still could happen. Technically a street circuit. Or is it? Is it a street circuit?
No, I'm not even sure.
I don't know if this is technically a street circuit or not.
It certainly is set up like one with the close barriers and no real run-off zones in most corners, but I don't know, we've got drivers on track, so we'll not worry about the ins and outs of what this track means. I think Flu's the first on track in an Aston Martin. This track just seems to be an awful lot of chicanes, isn't it? I think that's one of the annoying things about it.
Chicane City.
It's just chicane, wee straight, chicane, wee straight, chicane, and then a hairpin. Long straight,
And then
chicane,
a chicane.
and then another straight. It's yeah, an interesting setup. But it has been around for quite a while and produced a lot of dramatic real-life races. And obviously, Flu's just going past the wall of champions, so see if it'll claim any of our champions tonight.
Yep, first couple of corners, very tricky. Turn 1 sets you up for turn 2. You can run wide there and miss your braking point. Turn 3, first chicane, is very tricky. Easy to cut that corner, get a warning, get a penalty. This chicane I think is the worst one out of the bunch. Camber on it, not great. Easy to spin on the exit. This one, tricky for invalidations too, and if you're a bit too eager on the throttle on the exit, you can hit the wall. So,
well,
watch out for that.
On that point, both Chivers and Joseph Hales invalidated in the first sector. Which I would imagine is the second chicane, like Vettel corner. It's quite easy to invalidate there on either of the apexes, to be honest.
This is the main action point of the circuit after the hairpin and the long DRS zone before this final chicane. It's almost impossible, I'd say, to go side by side through that final chicane, so if you're going to make the move, make sure you get it done before that corner. It's Flute, 12.4, John pops in there with a 111. Technically 0.1, but pretty much 0.2.
Don't deny him that 1,000th of a second. Wiggles comes round the final chicane now, heads to the line. Did a very impressive pole position last week in Baku. Goes second. Just over 3/10 behind John.
And there are already a ton of invalidations going on. Ghost Tamino had one, Ryan had one. Expect to see that through the course of this week.
Ross only 4,000th off the top on the first round of laps.
That'll bug Ross. I know Ross, that'll bug him.
It's so close. Tiny margins.
Well, it's very similar in that respect to Monaco. A very tricky track, but not very long, only 3.5 kilometers.
Oh,
so.
Ghost is at a spin out of the hairpin. Nice little, almost 360. It corrects it and on his way, so he'll need to go again. It's Chivers.
So we are expecting to see.
Fastest.
We are expecting to see lap times very similar, very close. But you can also make a lot of mistakes on this, so don't be surprised to see some people in the 12s and 13s where others are in the 1-minute 10s.
Yeah, a few drivers still in the pits, not setting lap times yet. We've only got 10 times on the board now with Deton going P8. I've got a very good camera angle on Tidiest Bear, right into the grandstand. That's very helpful. Tidiest Bear didn't have his finest. He didn't have his finest. It's finest. Didn't have his finest race at Baku. Hopefully, he has a better race here.
What does finest mean?
Finest. Just because he's tidiest. Finest. Finest Bear. Yeah, hi to those in the chats. I did see we got Rids and Darren, Goldilocks again. And Chivers complaining about a penalty, which obviously is something that happened in the Discord.
Yeah, that was me. I gave him a penalty.
How dare you? Deflated Wee is the only one actually on a lap that hasn't set a time yet, but is invalidated, so we'll have to go again. Tidiest Bear will have to go again as well. So the near one. A very neat time of 1:22.
Oh, Deflated Wee going for a spin. Exit of turn 4 on that chicane. I think for Deflated, he said it wasn't a great track for him, so.
Oh, Ghost Tamino spins again coming out of the hairpin. This time it says he's on an outlap, but yeah.
Prev looked to be on a lap, but backed off. I think we in front of him. I don't know if it was a distraction, but not too sure. Prev's backed off. He'll have to go again.
So yeah, a few issues going on. Still over 10 minutes to go, so plenty of time to get a lap time in, but as long as people stay out of the barriers. I hope I don't jinx anyone. Sorry if I just did. Actually, I'm really not sorry. It's not my fault. If you crash, it's still your fault.
I get the blame for most things.
Unless Kate says something, then she's definitely a jinx. If she cheers for someone.
Good evening, Kate. I hope you're well. And Jano, or Yano, if I'm pronouncing that right. Evening. Hope you're well. First time chatter in the Discord, in the Twitch. Sorry. Kive. Evening, mate. Hope you're well.
Whoop whoop. I don't know what the whoop whoop's in reference to, but
it's for us being here, obviously.
Boop goop. Thank you, Wiggles.
Those two words sound a lot better in your accent than mine.
Say it.
Boop goop.
Boop goop. Bit goop. So, with 9 minutes to go, we've got Shivers on top. Wiggles fairly slotted into P3. John, who was the second one to set a lap time and is back on track, is currently P4. Ross, Joseph and Ryan. Still got to get laps from the two McLarens and IIRL Greg. IIRL Greg.
You know, we've started to raid channels this season, and people see our gamer tag, and they think it's iRacing League, like we're a league in iRacing, but we're not. We're just iRacing League. It's yeah. It's the one downside to our Twitch name.
I don't like the II, but that's just my own niggle. Great duo tonight, says Majestic. I don't know who you're talking about. Rids and Kate. Sure.
There's a funny story actually about how the IRL came to be named. I think when we formed the league, as Greg has gone straight on at turn 3, we were on board with that. I'm not too sure what happened. We were watching, and I'm not too sure. So
we've got one guitar
Greg
guaranteed in 20th at the moment.
So one Greg to another. But as I was saying about the name of IRL, we had a few different names thrown out there, and on paper this name of this league, which we've now adapted, looked so long. I was like, how long can this name get?
Just keep going, just like 10 digits.
Let's have an I Racing League.
A Dragon Shanley moment for those that were there back in the day. Brake failure. Kate says, "Okay, Sun God, now show Demon your Scottish accent."
No.
Do it.
Maybe if you're lucky later. I have to warm up first, my voice, for that. Although Kate's called me a nerd in chat, I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Why? Why are we nerds? I'm not sure.
I mean, I'm not even offended by that term.
Oh, neither am I. I am...
I am a nerd, to be honest.
Yeah.
This is when we get half our viewers just decide to leave the stream.
Ew. They're not an iRacing league and they're nerds. Yuck.
I can't race with a nerd.
They're still waiting for a lap time from Greg's. Greg Stars, he invalidated his last attempt. Still going. Obviously we've lost Greg. Shivers is retired in the pits, happy with his time. That's best of everyone so far. 5 minutes left. Goes to Mino, who's had quite a few issues. He's down in 17th, and Deflated Wee, obviously issues as well, down in 18th. We'd expect them to be a little bit higher than that.
1 millisecond separating Flew and Colucci. for 10th and 11th.
Greg Stars gets into 14th. Not too far behind Prev. Probably will need to go again to be sure if he's got any fuel, tyres, can get his ERS back up. We'll have another run at that.
Immensely intense international independent racing leave the Stream League. Was that IIRL TSL? Sounds pretty good, to be fair.
Joseph Hales has got no grip, which is leading to struggling. Currently in P6.
I think if I was in P6 on this track, I'd be
Delighted.
very happy.
Just staying at the barriers.
Well, track evolution on this game is a thing. Quite an important thing, especially in qualifying. So Q1 will have obviously the least grip, Q2 will be better, Q3 will be optimum.
I wouldn't know.
Oh, as tidy as spare.
I still haven't
goes
played
for a
this
very
game.
untidy spin there from Tidy as Bear at the hairpin.
Well, Gostomino made it round the hairpin, so he is on a proper attempt at a lap. Just got the final chicane to go. He was like 5.5 seconds after the second sector, so could put him in the mix. And he goes P3.
Pretty good. That will get him through to Q2 for sure.
So I'll be happy to get into the pits and retire from this session after that.
Later we on a slow lap on this occasion, so
catch the chicane as well. So presumably going to try and save up the ERS.
I doubt Deflated Wee can go into the pits and out again, which means he needs to go round, charge his battery for a lap, and then do another flying lap, but depends on how much fuel Wee has in the car.
He seems to be using ERS, so I think he's going to go for this lap. But saved it up to 70% and see.
17th at the moment for Deton, not quite quick enough. 15th and higher will make it through, and there's quite a big time gap between Greg Stars in 15th and Dayman in 16th, whopping 0.6 of a second here, so Deton needs at least 7 or 8 tenths really if he wants to realistically make it through to the next part of Qualy. Already half a second up in sector 2, that's pretty good there. Bombing down this back straight, DRS activation will be a massive action point in the race, watch out for that. And it's so easy in Qualy to invalidate in this final corner. Oh, and to make mistakes like that. It's not into the wall of champions, but it is into the wall. And Deton, that lap is gone for him.
Deflated Wee's coming up to the final chicane now. He won't have many chances after this, if any, with no ERS. Runs to the line and is going to get good enough. No, only 16th. Not enough to get into the next.
Milliseconds.
Not enough to get into the next session. So Deflated Wee has slowed down. Not enough to go again. So will be out of qualifying.
Wow.
Tidy's Bear is also out in 19th because he's still in the pits. So we know we've lost 3 drivers. It's down to Deton. Can he go again? No. So it's just Dayman who's on an out lap onto the back straight. So it's between like Dayman, Greg Stars, maybe Prev.
So Prev's through.
Well, it depends. Greg Stars could improve and Dayman.
Oh yeah, true.
So I'll watch Dayman as he is the one currently in the drop zone. Well, I will. I don't know if you're watching him on the stream. But yeah, keep an eye on Greg and Trev as well.
Good night, Kate. Thanks for stopping by for a few minutes. handled it well. Oh, and Dayman has invalidated
And that's
on
it.
his final run, so
As did Greg. So he's lucky. Greg's lucky that everyone else behind has already been knocked out. Greg Stars, I should say. Keep forgetting there's two Gregs. But one is definitely out.
oh, and Dayman, nice little pirouette there.
And Trev jumps up to P11. Did get a better lap in at the end there. But yeah, Deflated Wee will be... That's agonisingly close. Yeah. So they don't like that track. But if they don't like this track, then maybe it's a good thing. Life laps to do in qualifying.
So there we have it. IIRL Greg starting 20th on the grid with that bizarre incident which forced him to retire earlier on. Tyler's Bear qualifying in 19th, Deton 18th place, Dayman in 17th, Deflated missing out on a spot in Q2 by 7 milliseconds. Yes, it is that close. And top 12 only separated by 1 second, top 15 1.5 seconds. So as predicted, the times are very close here tonight, and I'm sure this is just going to be starters for qualifying here this evening. Yeah, unfortunate week in the chat. Very hard luck, obviously, to miss out by that small margin is very unfortunate. But all the best for the race. There is opportunities at this track to overtake, and obviously time penalties are going to be a massive factor here tonight.
Yeah, if Baku last time was quite a hard one to get penalties on, this is a very, very easy one.
Yes, indeed. So even if you're not the quickest here tonight, being the most consistent out there, not getting time penalties might just get you more points.
And staying at the barriers as well.
Exactly. So Q2, 15 drivers, 15 minutes. 5 will leave us, top 10 going through. Any predictions in qualify? I have no idea, Padge. Obviously those at the top.
Demon for pole.
Ones to look out for. Demon for pole. I'm on board with that. I'll be wrong, but I'm on board with it.
It's a good a prediction as any.
Even Greg might get a penalty tonight. To be fair, that is a good point. Greg never gets penalties. That is IIRL Greg talking about. Evening day, man. Hope you're well. I hate this track like so many other people. Yeah, I'm with you, mate. Quite often you find, Demon, the most hated tracks are actually the most classic ones. Monaco. I'd even say Singapore as well. I'd say it's a classic F1 race now.
Well, the ones that have massive talking points over the course of their history tend to be the ones that come up as classics. Which I guess is why the likes of Paul Ricard isn't and won't be classed as a sort of classic in the current, like when it came back into Formula One.
Hashtag bring back Maggie Core. That was a classic. Or Le Mans. Could even bring back Le Mans.
The full track.
Yeah, the full track. I mean, why not? It's the fastest racing cars on the planet.
Do you think DRS would be super strong? Just the slipstream on that straight.
It wouldn't even matter on DRS, because if you say ran 0-0 wings and someone behind you ran 2-0 wings, you'd have 1 or 2 extra miles an hour for the whole straight. Like, that would just be overpowered. So lots of drivers out on flying laps right now. 11 of them, make that 12. Just one in the pits so far, but still plenty of time.
Is that Gus Tamino having a spin at the hairpin again on his out lap? Oh no, that was on his actual lap.
I think Ghost said in Discord that he's running a TT setup for the race. So I think it's probably very loose at the rear, very prone to oversteer in the corners, and potentially Ghost hasn't had too much practice tonight, so as Colucci has spun too.
No, it's not doing him any favours in qualifying, at least.
Colucci just poking his Red Bull bum onto the camera. Thank you for the follow 7 minutes ago. WOR Ham44 says, how are you all? I'm very good, thank you, mate. How are you? Hope you're well. Do you league race? I assume you do, being in WOR. Yeah, how's it going? This track get in the bin. RIP to Paul Ricard. Bad racing, but a fun track on the go. I think it's actually not a bad track, to be honest, Paul Ricard. It's not got the history of other circuits, but I don't mind it.
It's an okay track. Like it's very much like Sochi, when Sochi was on the games. Like that was one of my favourite tracks to race, and I do like Paul Ricard
love that track
to drive on, but it's terrible in real life.
Yeah, Le Mans would be a bit silly. It wouldn't work. Yeah, I get it.
There'd be a lot of nothing happening, wouldn't there? There'd just be a lot of just straight, nothing.
I mean, it'd be DRS trains central, wouldn't it? Chiver's getting very close to that wall of champions. The message on the barrier doesn't actually say wall of champions. It says, welcome to Gilles Villeneuve circuit. Chivers, at the moment, is fastest.
Once again.
His teammate Prev crossed the line. 11th, but can go quicker than that.
We've got Ross on a lap, but it was invalidated, so he does have to go again. Smaller, Smiley, and Joseph both on out.
So Ross on his previous lap cut the corner at the final chicane.
Oh
so
god, double invalidation.
He will have got, yeah, this and next lap. If you get it, you know the pain. You were told to watch? Who has told you to watch? I mean, we appreciate the viewer, obviously, but...
Sounds like sabotage
name
to me.
and shame them.
Sabotage. Go watch this, it's great, but it's really not. No, we get to listen to us too.
Oh, and who is that? Is that Smaller Smiley? It is.
What happened?
Prev comes out of the hairpin, Smaller Smiley on an out lap in front of him, weaving to get heat in the tyres, but doesn't realise Prev's there. And has massively put Prev off. Doesn't stop Prev from doing a 111.4, which is pretty good. But that was a little bit naughty there from Smiley. Thank you for the follow. Biggery from Tesco. I've seen that for the past minute and think I'm just going to crack up while I say that username. I try my best, but unfortunately I didn't manage it. No, thank you for the follow. Hope you well. Hope you enjoy the race tonight.
Is there Is there a big Gary from Asda? Or other supermarkets are available?
Oh, it's Big Gary. I thought it was Biggery. I don't know what Biggery meant. I was like, what? If it is Big Gary, I apologise for completely butchering your username.
Never heard of us guys before, so he's rooting for John. And John's be a good shout. He's got good pace.
USA driver, John.
Yep.
I'd be telling. Listen, all we hope is you enjoy the stream tonight. So Joseph Hales struggling with grip in Q1, but still managed 6th place. So definitely has the pace to maybe challenge up there for the top 3 or 4 places. Have to wait and see if he can find some more grip in the second half of qualifying. And 1010 is in the chat. 1010, why aren't you racing?
1010 is on Skype duty, but is
he's a bunker.
But is in here to troll us. No, I won't let him.
1010 was that. I bet 1010 was that guy at school who used to hang around the bins instead of going to maths.
There does Joseph go back into P6. Like he was in Q1.
He loves that 6th place, doesn't he? So Wiggles, I haven't been on board with Wiggles tonight, so have a look at what Wiggles can do. Currently 3rd fastest, I would say he's safe.
1010, you don't need vision to drive. Just feel the track. Or just crash. Like I mean, I don't think your vision really helps when you're racing. Ooh. Burn.
That's the sign that you practice because your muscle memory gets up. So after 100 or so laps of practice, you don't actually need to watch.
No point walking Wiggles till last lap Q3 seems to save 8/10 for them. True.
Well,
he does pull out a lap
you wrong.
right at the end as well.
Wiggles just proved you wrong there because he's got an invalidation, and that was always worth seeing. So.
Goes Tamino, goes P3. I was watching his lap, and I think most of his time was at the hairpin, so he got a better run out of there that time. Knocks Joseph Hales from his favoured P6.
Both Red Bulls out on track right now, John and Colucci, both on invalid laps, so Colucci will be feeling the pressure here, and I have to say this is the quickest I've seen Colucci this season, so there's a real chance at Colucci getting into Q3 here. Gary, I'll leave that to Padge if that's alright. I'm happy to
delegate.
Have a chat once the stream's done, but I'll let Padge take that one over if that's alright. So Colucci here, full battery, has fuel, and there's not too many cars out on track in front of him, so this is a good opportunity now for Colucci to try and get that first valid lap on the board and get himself into Q3. Thank you, Padge, appreciate that, man.
Majestic, and they're sending the whispers. All romantic like.
You won't find me whispering to you, Demon.
Whispering in Gary's ear. Biggery.
Biggery. Honestly, I'm not sure how my brain processed that and said.
Although it would not be hilarious if his name was actually Biggery, and and it was me that was wrong. Well, so far so good for Mr. Colucci. All he's got to do is the final chicane without invalidating, and you'll get a time on the board. Good. It's easier said than done.
Oh,
and he
you jinxed him! It's your problem.
And he's invalidated the next lap as well. And his fuel light's flashing. Mr. Colucci's not going to get a lap.
How do you feel?
Oh, and he's in the
I feel
wall.
like you did that.
Like I say,
So
I don't
that guy?
care. It wasn't me that made the mistake.
Pressure's on. It's an improvement by half a second, but not quite good enough. Still sticking in P14 here. As Greg Stars, who just made it through into Q2, remember, and is narrowly missing out on a spot in Q3.
He also gets half a second, but again, isn't enough to make that big gap come down enough.
Joseph Hales.
Three drivers on
currently in
11.4. Three drivers on the 11.4 mark in and around the cut-off area as well. It's all very close in that top 11.
So Joseph Hales currently 8th fastest, looking to cement his place in Q3, and I'm tempted to give you a fiver if he doesn't get into 6th. And he does.
6 thousandths behind John.
You're 6 thousandths away from a fiver, Demon.
Oh, now he's 7th. Do I get the fiver?
As Fairley goes fastest. That is a fairly decent lap.
Blue is into
Haven't made
the
that pun in a while.
pits in P10, so got to hope no one else improves. We've got Greg Starr's just going to start a lap, his final attempt. Probably the same for his teammate Pete, and that guy is currently on a lap.
So Mr. Colucci confirmed out of Q2, failing to set a valid lap time. Very hard to do on this track, so of course that is not a very rare thing, as Ross goes 1 millisecond ahead of John. Hey they call me Pun God for a reason. So that guy pressures on. Checkered flag has fallen, which means this will be the final lap of the session for him. Can it be good enough to get through?
Ooh,
at the moment, yes, that is a good lap to pull out of the bag at the final moment
of qualifying.
Indeed. Pete gets a bit of a slipstream there from Amos Fairley.
Greg
so
Stars has backed out of his lap, so he will not improve. It's down to Smiley and Pete.
Here comes Pete, and it's 13th on the grid, just behind his teammate Greg Stars, so very close there. We've got less than a tenth separating Prev, Flu, Greg and Pete.
And there's Smiley
fits himself
Smaller Smiley
into that gap
joins
as well.
in there, so all very close.
I think that's the closest ever Q2 we've had, especially down at the bottom. But Smiley does seem to be better in the race, has good race pace, doesn't get too many time penalties, doesn't make too many mistakes. So Smiley, 12th on the grid, could be in for some points later on this evening. So there we go, confirmation. Fairley and Chivers up at the top leading the way in Q2. Ghost, Ryan, Wiggles, Ross, John, Joseph, that guy and Prev, only separated by 3/4 of a second, and they'll go through to Q3 for 12 more minutes of racing to see who can get on pole position for the Canadian Grand Prix. Flu, Smiley, Greg, Pete within 9/10 of the leader, but still just not quite quick enough to head through to Q3 on this occasion. Mr. Colucci without a valid time in this session.
any of those 4 drivers between 11th and 14th, they were all within like 0.08 of a second separated them in 10th place. So that, yeah, really close.
And it could have just been as small as hitting more apex or hitting less apex. That could literally be the reason why they went out of this session. It is so close.
That now we move on, and it's Q3, the fight for pole position.
Do you shop at Tesco?
Will you give us your discount, or?
Ironically, I don't have a Tesco near me. I have an Asda near me.
You don't
I have
have
an
a Tesco?
Iceland near me. I have an Asda, an Iceland, and a Morrison's, but no Tesco or Sainsbury's.
How small is it where you live?
It's like next to a retail park, so it's got like the Range and Costa and Mackey's there, stuff like that.
Well,
I'm not going to say too much.
In Inverness we got 4 Tesco's, and Inverness is a really small place. There we got 4 Tesco's and Asda, Morrison's, 10 Co-ops, and 2 Aldi's.
My old
a little.
house.
But no Sainsbury's.
My old
Sainsbury's
house.
is 14 miles away. No, 17 miles away.
17.
Yeah, the next town eastwards.
My old house had a nice little Tesco extra at the top of the road, so that's a nice little handy one. Right, who's first on the lap? Fairly is out of the gates quickest. Excuse me. So we will head on board with Fairly. For those new around here, here's a bit more information about IIRL. And if you want to check out the championship standings, there's a link in chat as well. We'll go on board with Fairly's lap and see what you can manage on the PC. Pretty nice. Steady, keeping it clean, taking as much curb as possible. Taking as maximum amount of curve as possible through that chicane there, coming up to the hairpin. Interesting to see if people hug that apex or try and take as much speed into the corner so they don't have to brake too much. And that is invalid. You could see that one coming from the turn into the final chicane there, but unfortunately Fairly, who does a 1 minute 10.3, which I think is the fastest time we've seen tonight so far.
The fastest valid time we're getting is from Wiggles, 10.4. I was watching Chivers and he was a 10th behind Fairley's time, so he is on one. Oh no, he's binned it into the wall on the last corner.
Oh dear.
Knocked his wing off. He is still in qualifying though, but he will have to come round to the pits and replace his wing and get some new tyres and go again. But that was a disaster at the end there.
Fortunate perhaps to not retire there.
It was a big hit.
Ross, nice last chicane.
And
Across
even
the
when
line,
there's only 5 times, Joseph still came in and went 6th before being knocked down. He's always got to go into that 6th place.
Ross goes second fastest on a 1 minute 10.7. Nice lap there from Ross. His teammate is invalid on this attempt. However, has pretty much
I'm leaving.
Pretty much a full battery.
Goodbye.
To play with. Hey TD mate, how you doing? I hope Demon you're ready for the next 20 minutes in chat just to be railed by TD.
can go sit on a rail in all the most uncomfortable ways.
Important to post a banker on this lap, yeah, very, very true. And for those in the top 4, even though Ryan's not quite as quick as those top 3 in the 1 minute 10s at the minute, he'll still be happy on that one at 11.2. We've seen a number of drivers struggle to get a valid lap time on the board so far in qualifying, so just need to make sure that you get one on the board.
And here comes that guy with his time, goes P4 with a nice opening lap. Still waiting for times with Ghost and Fairley. Both had issues on their first attempts. Both on out laps now.
Ross on a slow lap, so no one pushing right now. We have Prev, Ghost, Fairley back out on the track for their second out laps. And as Ghost starts a new run, let's have a look at how he does. Have a look at his setup as well. I do know it's a time trial setup, it's not a race specified setup, but he might have done some tweaks to it, we just don't know.
Oh,
Catch in the rear there, but still nudges the wall and would have lost a huge amount of time from that.
well, he's about to be about a second down on the top line pace setters there based on the second sector times. But it could still be a decent bunker. Just get a time in. An 11.5. Even with that big moment he had for Ghost.
Not too bad from Ghost. Fairley did an invalid 10.3 at the start of this section.
Now he does a valid
does another
10.3. The
very
fastest
quick.
time of the session, the entire qualifying.
The Alien has returned to the league since we have enabled crossplay. On board now with Joseph Hills, who I'm sure will be hoping for 6th place tonight. Oh, but just spinning at the exit of turn 5 there, and that unfortunately is his attempt over. And he does have enough time to come into the pits, fix that wing and come out again, so it's not all doom and gloom here for Joseph, but he will have one more attempt at the end of the session. Chivers now 14.7, nowhere near what he can achieve, and drops into 5th place ahead of his teammate, but 1/10 behind Ross in 3rd.
Wiggles is a 10th up in the first sector on his own time, matches his middle sector, so could be pretty close with Fairley's time here.
Needs just under 2/10 to take provisional pole from Fairley, so needs to find a little bit in this last sector. And it's fastest.
10.2 exactly.
Wow. Oop goop for Mr. Wiggles. That is... I mean, whoever predicted in chat that he would do a 10.1 last session, someone give that person a medal. Someone said he'll do a 111.0 in Q2 and then he'll do a 10.1.
Big Gary from Tesco says he can give whoever gets pole a free meal deal. So there you go. I mean, it's a bit late in the day, but if you come in when TD's racing, I'm sure that'll more than get TD riled up enough. Okay. Third. You'll be flying.
It's like when you're on the beach and you're eating fish and chips, and the seagulls, their ears prick up and they just stare at you. That is TD with that comment right now. Prev's getting some traffic here on his run. That is awful luck there for Prev. He had 3 cars around him in Sector 1. And he has backed off. And there's a massive congestion here in Sector 2. Who's in this group?
Clearly catching the chicane on his outlap. I don't know if that was just by a mistake or...
The worst news for Fairly possible is that Wiggles is going on another flying lap right now. But the question is, Demon, what is your meal deal of choice? That's what I want to know.
I tend to just go for the most expensive things that are on the offer, just to get my money's worth.
Weird flex.
Well, no, not really. Not when it's all for £3 on the club card. Why would I go for 3 things that are worth £1? When I could go for 3 things that are worth £2 and get it for £3.
So very true.
Exactly, Gary. Anyone who gets a simple ham sandwich should be put down. Because you can buy that for next to nothing anyway.
Wiggles has bottled his lap, unfortunately, on this occasion.
Fairly,
meanwhile, is 3 tenths up in Sector 2.
Are we going
Fairly
to see
has
a sub 70 seconds, I wonder?
10 seconds left. Mr. Wiggles is on another run, so there might still be a chance here for Wiggles. But he needs to hope that Fairly invalidates this final chicane.
And he doesn't.
And he doesn't. He nails it.
Very fast.
This could be a 1-minute 9 for sure.
Oh,
and it is.
Just.
Wow.
69 seconds.
What a lap time.
Who are?
AMS Fairly, take a bow, son. That is splendid.
Wiggles is backed out, so his challenge is over.
Second place then, probably for Mr. Wiggles. John goes up into 3rd place. Nice effort. And Joseph Hales may still finish in 6th place in this session. Currently 5th. And Chivers is out on track right now.
Ross is only doing marginal improvements. He's got to find a lot in the final sector.
This could be the battle, not to overtake John, but to stay ahead of Chivers here for Ross. So Ross needs as much time as he can get here.
Oh, not a good final chicane though for Chivers.
Across the line, and it's 4th.
He could have done better on that final chicane. Could have maybe got that P3.
Ross has had a good last sector here. He could go 4th. And doesn't miss his out by 2,000. And there we have it. Joseph Hales qualifies in 6th.
As close as you like for that 2nd row there.
How has Joseph Hales finished in 6th place in every qualifying session tonight?
Mostly every lap as well. He's posted at 6th lap.
I know. But AMS Fairly, with the first 1-minute 9 that we've seen on this game at Canada, takes pole position by a 1/4 of a second. Mr.
And
Wiggles
gets a meal deal.
Has done.
He doesn't know
and gets a meal deal from.
He doesn't know he gets a meal
Gary.
deal, but he does.
Can we get a PayPal transaction receipt somewhere? Mr. Wiggles there on the first row of the grid alongside Fairly. 2nd row of the grid, John and Chivers. He beats Ross into 4th by 2 milliseconds. Joseph Hales, as we said, 6th place once again. I'm going to make a bold prediction that he's going to finish 6th in the race tonight. Ryan and Prev on row 4 of the grid, and row 5 of the grid, that guy and Ghost Tamino, who has been struggling a little bit tonight in Qualy.
Yeah, with that improvement from Fairly and Wiggles, the gap between the drivers in Q3 was larger than the entire drivers, like the top 14 at set times in Q2. That's how much they upped their game in this session.
And that is the sign of a great racing driver.
Between Fairley and
Can you
Wiggles,
up your game
both finding
each session?
that lap time, but especially Fairley, obviously.
Gary's offering Wiggles a sandwich in chat. I think this is the best chat I've ever seen in my life.
I'm not even in the chat. How rude.
You are in the chat.
Dude,
You're on the stream. That's better, mate.
I'm in the live chat, but maybe I should just join the typey chat as well. Do we, as
5-minute
streamers,
break.
do we get meal deals? Or can I just get like a free bottle?
Bonus, don't worry.
Can I just get like a bottle of wine, or?
What, you think we're made of money? No, we can put it in your next contract if you want. So 5-minute break between Qualy and the race. Perfect opportunity for Demon to grab a bottle of wine, or for anyone to pop to their local Tesco and get a meal deal.
Give the better commentator a pack of Whisper Bites. I've got a Whisper in the fridge, a Whisper Gold. I'm actually going to go get that. That's my break. Treat to myself.
You can pay for my energy bills if you want. Oh, that is such an underrated comment. Anyway, I've got something to do in this 5-minute break, so I need to do that before I get distracted with meal deals. In case you're new around here, we do a little feature here called Featured Driver, and I email out like a Google form to all the drivers for them to take part if they want to or not. Basically a way for us to get to know some of the drivers, and we work through them each week. This week we are featuring Tidiest Bear. If you fill out the form,
sorry,
I will do it for you
every time.
But you need to do the form.
to do it every time. Can't help it.
Anyway, Tidiest Bear. Few questions. We'll read out his responses so you can get to know him a bit more. He's 19 years of age, and he works as an IT student. His dream job would be an airline pilot. Very interesting. Hobbies or interests: sports and sim racing. Racing this season on a Thrustmaster TSXW. Favourite driver of all time: George Russell. One of the new up-and-coming talents in F1 today. Best track on the calendar, Austria, which is coming up on the calendar, so fingers crossed Tidiest Bear can get a nice result in Austria this season. As for his racing strengths, he thinks tyre management and strategy are stuff that he does pretty well in this game. Just hoping for anywhere in the points, which I know he started off doing last season. This season has struggled a bit doing that this season, but fingers crossed Tidiest Bear can get some points nice and quickly. As for his driver stats here in IIRL, this is his 40th race in the league. Just the 8 points finishes, but when he has scored, he scored pretty decently. So I know season 1 he struggled a lot with his DNFs, and season 2 he polished that out and got some points on the board. This season, a bit of a struggle for him so far, but obviously everyone, I'm sure, will be backing Tidiest Bear here tonight. So back to meal deals then. TD. That's my name. So then, 35 laps here tonight for the Canadian Grand Prix. Not too sure what the strategy is going to be like for the tyres. Obviously, soft tyres are a bit pants in the race on this game for longevity. So expect to see something like a medium to hard, a hard to medium, or maybe a 2-stop if some safety cars come out and drivers want to maximise their strategies.
Well, currently, as you can see, 5 drivers look like they've selected the mediums. Everyone else is on the hard. Obviously that can change before we get to the green lights. But is formation lap off?
Formation lap is off,
Yeah.
and the reason being, there's a bit of a bug on this game. Unfortunately, with formation laps, sometimes people don't get the tyre heat off the start of the grid. So formation lap off seems to fix it. So in 10 seconds we will be getting racing. We'll show everyone of the strategies once we are into the screen. Let's get some predictions in the chat nice and quickly now. Who do you think is going to be on the podium here tonight? Grid will be on the left hand side of the screen in a moment.
Demon.
If you can guess what I'm doing right now, I'll let you take me out in Canada. I'll have a guess in a minute, mate. But for now, the 5 lights are on in Canada. And we are underway. Fairley is on pole. Good start there for Ross, who's already up into 3rd place. That guy side by side with 2 of the blue cars in the background. Ryan and Joseph getting past.
We have got carnage
into
at the
top
back.
5
Carnage
is Joseph.
at the back. We've got 5 cars all over turn 1, 2 and 3. The 2 Ferraris got really terrible starts, and yeah, I don't think they were ready for the race start. A bit of carnage there at the back. I don't know if there's any damage on any of them, but...
Bobby goes looking on as Ryan goes down the outside of his teammate Joseph Hales. Nice little Williams team battle here on the opening lap, and Ryan gets back ahead of his teammate Joseph after Joseph got him off the start. And Ghost Tamino now looking down the inside, last of the late breakers, channeling his inner Ricardo. Joseph Hales though sticking it out around the outside very well and maintaining hold of 6th. Deflated Wee already is up to 9th.
Went round the outside of
already,
Blue at the hairpin.
And Ross has taken the lead on lap 1. How has he done that on the first lap? So, early days still in this race. Ross now leads the race from Fairley, who is on the hard compound tyres. JonJonzey in 3rd place has overtaken Mr. Wiggles for 3rd, who is running the hard compound tyres. Then we've got Brian, Joseph, Ghost and Deflated all on the mediums. And Ghost is very close here to making a move on Joseph. Got a few drivers in the bottom end of the top 10 on the hard compound tyres. Everyone pretty much apart from 2 outside of the top 10 is on the hards too. So I'm not too sure what happened at the back on the start, but since then it's calmed down. We have got moves going on. Ghost
Going past Joseph, knocking him out of that P6 position.
He'll still finish that, I guarantee you.
But yeah, so far from the start, the biggest winner is Deflated Wee up 8 places. Deton up 7 to 11th. Chivers
Greg's
is
also up 7 from the back of the
grid. 2 Ferraris are both the big losers of that first couple of laps, down 12 and 9 places respectively. But yeah, I think they didn't realise that there was no formation lap, or they just weren't quite in position yet.
Here comes Prev down the inside. This is going to be a risky move. Hard to go side by side here. Trying to give him space. Clean driving pretty much. I think it was almost impossible to go side by side through there without contact, but thankfully neither Prev or Colucci lost out too much from that. Prev now up into 16th, trying to recover from that poor first lap.
As Ross sets the 3rd fastest lap in a row.
Still not getting away from Fairley, only 7 tenths is his lead.
But Shivers on this recovery, overtaking Damon in turn 1. Up to 14th. Yeah, the time
Smaller
penalties are
China.
already pouring in.
Wow, already 3 of them.
Well, 4 of them, because Tidiest Bear has as well. Make that 5. A quarter of the field has a time penalty already.
Well, Colucci's off at turn 3, no front wing anymore. We'll need to pit as Thaddeus Bear. Fortunate. Boxing for a new set of mediums and a new front wing probably. No yellow flags, no VSC, no safety car, still on lap 4, Ross leads fairly.
So we're already doing better than Baku last week.
Yes. And what's happened to Joseph Hales? He has dropped to 14th now. Possibly a bit of a half spin, perhaps. Didn't quite catch that one.
Mr. Colucci is retired on the back straight. You see from Tidiest Bear, he's in the left wall. Yep, he's missing a wheel, so not quite sure quite what happened there. Just losing on traction.
It was a very positive qualifying session for Colucci, but just wasn't able to make it past lap 5, which we are currently on. John has closed that gap now to Fairley, who is getting closer to Ross here.
All the top 5 are within DRS range of each other, so it could be a little bit of a DRS train forming behind Ross.
And what's happened to Deflated? Deflated's falling. Oh, he's just getting going again round this hairpin.
Track in 11/12th, like 11th and a half, because he was inside Shivers. Side by side down the straight.
Just fails getting back past Greg now, trying to cover from 13th back into the points. It is possible for Joseph, has had good pace tonight so far, but does need perhaps a little bit of good fortune with that time penalty as well next to his name. Interesting stat for Ross and Mr. Wiggles, who has dropped to 10th. What's happened there? So Ross and Wiggles, their 99th IIRL race here this evening. On Thursday, they will become the first 2 drivers to hit 100 races for IIRL. Buzz for Wiggles at the moment. Tuesday has been his playground. Thursday has been his hunting ground. Has found results harder to come by on the Thursday. On Tuesday he's been free scoring. That needs a good shift here tonight to get some good points on the board.
Well, and we've
As
lost.
In the background we have Chivers.
Yeah.
Just oversteering out of the final corner. Thankfully still in the race from his perspective, but will need to pit and fix that damage. So races in full swing now, lap 7 of 35. Those top 5 are pulling away from that guy who is in 6th, has a time penalty. But that guy has a nice little 3.1 second gap on Pete, who has had a good race so far, up in 7th.
Shivers has gone again and lost the rest of his wing in the middle of the lap.
Defending from Flew. Deaton in the points. Good start from Deaton, and Mr. Wiggles trying to make that recovery.
Shivers is going to really drop down, along with Tidiest Bear, quite far away from the rest of the field at the moment. Yeah, all the top 5 really close. Ghost is doing better in the race than he was in qualifying, keeping it pointing the right direction.
Shivers pits, 5-second time penalty for speeding.
Tidiest Bear's been off at the end of the second sector as well, had a spin. So he's getting close to being lapped and he's got wing damage once again, so not a great race from Tidiest Bear. Once again. He's really struggled out in Baku last week as well.
I wonder what Fairley's strategy here is. Is he going to try and force Ross to use as much energy overtake as possible before making the move, or is he actually pushing flat out right now and is Ross just defending really well? Here's John. Looks very close to the back of Fairley. Bit of a small nudge, no damage done.
Tidiest Bear has retired in the pits after his many excursions already in the race, so that's unlucky.
Better than next week. Next week we
Wiggles
somewhere. I will
somewhere. Got Wiggles and
I'll
Deton.
get confirmation.
Wiggles cuts Vettel corner and drops 2 places. It's got side by side with Flew. Flew goes on the outside. So Wiggles having an issue there.
Next week.
Down to 10th.
Silverstone next week, Demon.
It's incredible how close this top 5 is. All half a second apart at this moment.
They're consistently pulling away from that guy in P6, so the longer that those 5 can stay the way they are, the more advantage they have of perhaps going for an undercut on each other. Perhaps maybe Ghost or Ryan, who are currently off the podium, might go for an undercut at some point and try and get an advantage on the rest of that top 5. Could be interesting to see in about 10 laps or so.
Also, Damon, I think, just had a spin at the hairpin. There was a brief yellow flag and he dropped down.
Thank you for the follow, Kendo, by the way. Apologies I missed it with all the early race shenanigans.
Ooh, and out of the top 5,
Padge.
Ghost is the first to get a penalty.
Oh, and someone's lost it. Deflated wheel's gone. Exit of turn 4 as Mr. Wiggles goes past Deton into 9th. Oh, and Flew is gone now. 2 drivers dropping it in a matter of moments.
That was a corner cut from Prev.
Deton down the inside of Mr. Wiggles, but misses braking zone. Hits into Mr. Wiggles, but don't think any damage caused there. Maybe for Deton's front wing, but
you got Ghost
doubt for Mr. Wiggles.
overtaking Ryan down the pit straight. So we finally had an overtake in that top group.
Oh, Ghost needs to after getting that time penalty. Lap 11 of 35. This top 5 are pulling out from that guy about half a second a lap now. 7 seconds behind, and Pete is starting to catch that guy, albeit very slowly, maybe 2 or 3 tenths per lap, but he is catching, and he is on, theoretically, the quicker tyre in this stage of the race. And a change for the lead as Mr. Fairley goes down the inside of Ross after the hairpin before the final chicane. Will Ross fight back now on this main straight?
Fairley still had the DRS and the 1 activation point there, so enough to defend. There's a 3rd penalty for Chivers. He's looking good in qualifying in Q1 and Q2, but didn't really work so much in Q3, and the race is sort of falling apart.
I think Fairley is a lot more confident in this phase of the race. Those hard tyres are going to give a bit more grip at this stage as opposed to those mediums, which are starting to get a little bit old and a little bit worn. Now lap 12 of 35, maybe expect to see a pit stop for these medium runners around lap 15 or so onto the hards. So Fairley now has a good opportunity to try and make use of those hard tyres while the others are struggling on the mediums. Flo and Deflator Wee trading positions. Just coming around the hairpin now, down in 12th and 13th.
Trev got past Deaton, up into the top 10, coming out of the hairpin.
Trev's had a strong race so far. I'm very impressed.
Might have lost 2 places off the start, but is making a good recovery. Both Ferraris effectively stalled on the start by just falling backwards, so yeah, good on him, coming back through the field.
John with the time penalty in the last few moments. That could decide this podium here tonight.
Still a long way to go, and still many penalties to be handed out, I'm sure.
Exactly, Fairley breaking the slipstream. He's not weaving, that is allowed. Breaking the slipstream as Ghost
in the pits.
Misses his into the pits. I was about to say he missed his braking zone, but he wasn't. He's just going for an undercut here, is Ghost.
It's quite a quick
so this
pit
top
lane here, with he missing out the chicane and then the first corner as well. You don't lose too much time here. Where will he come
Ghost
out?
slots in behind Joseph Hales and ahead of Prev. So Ghost here might be in a little bit of traffic from his perspective. He obviously wants to get some free track where he can put in a couple of fast laps, try and gain on this what is now a top 3. Ryan struggling to keep up in the last couple of moments.
Yeah, Ryan will need to stay within that DRS, if not he could fall off a little bit. Ghost pitting sort of opened up that gap in between himself and John. He's still got DRS to keep him in that fight. Anyone else going to pit to cover off? And we've got John in the pits.
John pits.
Going to cover off Ghost. So this will be interesting to see
Ryan,
where Ghost and John come out in regards to each other. How has Ghost's outlap been?
he's still a second behind Joseph Hales, so he's matching Joseph Hales' pace here.
He's been.
Maybe if he fancies.
No, he's been about a second faster than Joseph, I think, on this lap, but still comes out behind. And with a car in between.
John is a good 3 seconds ahead of Ghost, so Ghost has lost a lot of time here behind Joseph. Maybe the overcut was stronger, maybe the undercut was too soon, or maybe Ghost just lost a bit of time behind Joseph here.
I don't think the mediums had gone off yet, and John was still getting DRS right around the lap, whereas Ghost wasn't as well, which might have played a role in that. And we've got Ross and Ryan both in the pits.
And Deflated Wee has crashed or retired in the pits. Retired in the pits. That won't bring out a safety car. Ghost now looking for a move on Joseph, who ducks into the pits.
Yeah, it's very deceiving.
It does release
I hate that pit entry. Very deceiving.
And where do the leaders come out of the pits? John is once again behind Ross.
Behind Ryan.
But Ryan has leapfrogged Ghost. So Ghost has lost a heck of a load of time here behind Joseph.
He pulled the trigger first. How's it worked out for him? Back. It's got DRS. Ryan does not have DRS, so should get this move done.
John here has been on a lap already on these hard tyres, which means they are up to temperature. Ross is just getting them up to temperature here, so John can get a good exit out of this hairpin and possibly start to deploy some overtake and get that move done on Ross for what is a net second place.
Ross will get DRS to help defend as well. It won't quite be so easy like it was for Ghost to get past Ryan.
Ross behind his good friend Mr. Wiggles, and Mr. Wiggles being on the hard compound tyres means he won't be stopping for another 5 or so laps.
Here comes John now, down the pit straight, takes the place.
So in the end, that was a pretty good call there from Ross, from John, sorry. Interesting to see Pete has just pitted from inside the top 10, comes out in 12th ahead of his teammate, but interestingly is going medium soft on his tyres, so we'll be going on to another set of soft tyres in about 8 or 9 laps.
I wonder if that was his intention or a mistake.
I think sometimes it is worth trying something different if you're not in a good place, but it was inside the top 10,
yeah,
so
I think
maybe...
He was on for a P6. I feel like taking a gamble is... Well, a gamble, it's a risk. When he was on for that P6 behind that guy who had stacked up a few penalties.
We'll have to wait and see if it pays off.
I think John's in a great position to fight fairly for the lead after he pits. The difference will be that Fairley will be on the softer tyre. And Ghost picks up another penalty. That'll hamper his chances of a podium.
This could actually work out pretty much perfectly for Fairley, because if you think Mr. Wiggles might not have the pace that Fairley has, and now has the net leaders behind him, so Fairley will be hoping that Mr. Wiggles can hold up John, Ross and Ghost, so that when Fairley comes out the pits he won't lose too much time to them. Nice battle here for 8th. Prev defending from Deton and Flu, all 3 of those yet to pit. So
Wiggles has got no chance of defending this from John now. John back up into 3rd. Oh! And taps the
Wiggles
final
lost
chicane.
Wiggles into the points, into the pit, sorry.
Ross and John. And Ghost, all very close together.
Yes, thanks. DemonJonzey joining me on commentary here tonight.
Oh, John makes a mistake and is going to lose that position there. Ghost. John's having a bad lap, or 3/4 of a lap with that mistake. Needs to compose himself a bit more. But as you say, that is all helping Fairley.
The gap between Fairley and Ross, or the front of these 3 anyway, has stabilised at about 17 seconds. So I think Fairley may just come out behind these three, what is now 4, as Ryan has had a really good lap to get himself back into contention here. So Fairley may still come out behind these 4, but as you say, we'll have the softer compound tyres. And Ross is starting now to gain on Fairley. Gap now just dipping below 17 seconds.
Chivers had another spin coming out of the hairpin. That was the yellow flags were brought out. Down in 15th, having a disappointing race, I'm sure, from this point of view. Speed's in the pit lane as well, must have had wing damage. And just retires in the pits.
Yep, I was half expecting that retirement there. It's not quite been what could have been for Chives tonight. Had the pace in Qualy, but just didn't quite work out for him in the race. Always a shame to see when something like that happens. Still 7 drivers of these 17 haven't made a pit stop yet. We've got Fairley and that guy out in front who...
That guy is
as we speak.
Pits, yeah. From P2, so
Brevin
it's Ross back up.
Smaller Smiley, Greg Stars, and the second IIRL Greg. All yet to pit.
That gap between Fairley and Ross is coming down now, though. It's down to 16 seconds. As Ross is...
Now Ross has free space in front of him to drive as fast as he'd like.
Fastest lap from Wiggles, showing that mediums have pace. Currently in P9. Right behind Pete and Deton for P7.
Ryan struggling to keep up a little bit on these hard tyres. Maybe they're just not his tyre of choice, maybe it's the lack of DRS, but it's not over for him yet, because if you can say within 3 seconds of both John and Ghost, he will get ahead on the end of the race and a guaranteed podium spot at this stage in the race.
Wiggles side by side with Deton coming down to the hairpin. Oh, contact!
Oh, and contacts!
Deton just kept his nose in there. But Wiggles keeps the position. Would have lost a bit of time and momentum, but does keep that P7. What can you do to get that gap to that guy down? It's just 3.8 seconds. He'll have 14 laps now.
Pete now looking for a move on Deton. Hasn't made a pit stop yet. We'll probably be expecting all the hard compound runners left in this race to make a pit stop now. So Fairley, Deton and Greg, who is pitting as we speak. Oh, and Pete spinning, emulating Sebastian Vettel a few years ago. A few years ago? More like 10 years ago.
Yes, in the wet against Button, yeah.
Fairley hits from the leads.
In the pits. The gap is about 15.2 seconds.
There's no doubt here that Fairley's going to come out behind these 4. But the question is, can Fairley slot in the middle?
Ghost goes for a move.
John and Ryan.
Side by side.
Ross has the better line through turn 1.
John with it. It isn't close enough.
I see it. Fairley out in 4th place between John and Ryan. Needs to get those mediums up to temperature. Ryan could have an opportunity here at an overtake if he is confident enough, but he has already spent 7 laps on those hard tyres. Deton pits means everyone has now made their mandatory pit stop. I think Ghost still gets to the end in response to your question, Padge. I think those hard tyres are a lot more durable than we perhaps expect them to be.
That was Damon retiring
Fairly
in the
now.
pits. As this car comes back out on track as it does. But yeah, Damon is out, so we've lost 5 drivers from this race.
And And no safety cars or VSCs.
Ghost!
Oh, Ghost has lost it in the final corner.
He will not get to the end now. He is going to have to make a pit stop. He's not
He is
out
still
of
in
the
the
race, but he is.
He's not moving. Maybe
There he
just
is.
frustrated.
We've got a VS.
It didn't.
It's no, got a full safety car.
Wow.
Did Ghost
Maybe
stay on
there.
track to bring out a safety car?
I think that's what he did.
Did he stay stationary to help them?
I
think
have a strong suspicion.
That seems like he has fixed that.
That is a little bit cheeky. Oh, chat, what do you think?
Inquiries.
What do you
Safety
think,
car
chat?
gate. Ghost gate.
Ghost gate. I mean, I'm not sure that this is going to benefit Ghost in the long term anyway, because he's got time penalties. But obviously this is a real lifeline for Ghost now. He can fix his damage. Everyone can put on a new set of soft tyres if they. I'm not sure soft tyres will go the distance.
That's what I was just about
I think
to ask.
mediums are the tyres you want to be on now. So fairly, this strategy is working out
Everyone,
perfectly
all the
for
top ones that are on the hards are pitting for mediums.
John soft, Ross soft,
Oh,
Ryan
they're going
soft.
aggressive.
That guy into the pits, Ghost and Wiggles following suit. Could this be Softgate? Soft tyres on the car for that guy. Joseph Hayes stays out.
No one wants a soft gate. Don't say that. No one wants a soft gate.
Yeah, that didn't quite come out as I planned it, but Wiggles pits onto a set of soft tyres. This is perfect for Wiggles, although with his time penalties, now the field is bunched up. It actually doesn't help him in the same way. Joseph up to P5. I did notice TD, I didn't want to say it because there's a good chance he might get overtaken here by a couple of drivers. Prev and Flu stay out on the mediums. Ghost, obviously with that pit stop, comes out in 10th place ahead of his
Fairley
teammate who
is not
stays
going to get
out.
a chance to pit for soft, whether he wants to or not.
I don't think Fairley needs to. I think the mediums are the perfect tyre to be on right now. I think obviously Ross, John and Ryan couldn't pit onto mediums because they've already done 15 laps on them. So for Ross, John and Ryan, this is a good strategy for them, but I think Fairley's on the better strategy.
Joseph sticking with the hards is brave. See how that works out.
I think he just wants the track position. This has brought both Gregs back into it. IIRL Greg has been last and a long way back for a long time now. So this has brought both Gregs into it, and with IIRL Greg's lack of time penalties, he could once again find himself in the points.
Flu will be happy as well. The 4 drivers in front of Flu have 6 seconds of penalties or more.
Smiley indeed on pit for softs. Let's have a look at the penalty situation. 3 seconds for John. That's going to cost him a place to Ryan, but no one else at this point. So John's still on for a 4th place finish here. But those in the midfield, lower end of the points, Joseph, that guy, Wiggles, Prev, all with 6 or more seconds. Ghost now with 9 seconds.
He's got a penalty under the
conditions.
safety car.
It's a little bit careless, perhaps.
That will be costly.
Smaller with 3, Greg Stars with 6. I think softs will go to the end, but I think towards the end of the race they'll be on 70, maybe 75% tyre wear. Canada is a known tyre eater track. And expect to see this safety car out for at least another lap or two as we wait for Greg to catch up to the back of the field. This has completely changed the complexion of this race. All those with time penalties, I'd say 6 seconds or more, are going to lose out here at the end of the race to at least one driver. Those with 3 seconds, they may get away with it.
And Greg. Ghost and Flu going side by side, exchanging positions.
So the question is, I'm going to put you on the spot, Demon. If you were Fairley, what would you do here? Would you allow these soft runners to completely charge like a headless baboon and wreck their tyres, and then hopefully have enough laps at the end to go for a move for the lead? Or would you put all of your efforts into defending?
I would defend as much as possible.
Well, the safety car is in this lap, lap 20.
Well, yeah.
Well, Fairley has tyre life to wear to waste here.
All fully charged in batteries, of course. Being behind the safety car, so...
This is the reason why we don't show telemetry on the race, just so you can't watch the stream and feed that kind of ERS information to the other drivers. And Fairley has gone for it, and he's caught John napping here, but he has got Ross on his behinds. John cutting the final chicane, getting 6 seconds of penalties now. Ryan almost assured for a podium finish, barring any mistakes.
Wiggles is losing out. Ooh, a bit of argy-bargy there with Flu, but he's dropped a couple of places to Previn, that guy. Side by side with Flu. Ooh, and
Ghost does a Vettel and cuts the Alfa Romeo lawnmower.
Gives the position back.
Very sporting there of Ghost. Maybe had an illegal overtake that he had to adhere to. And once again, those top 4 running away with it. Already 1.6 now ahead of Joseph Hales. Ghost, bit of a dive bomb, but Flu gave the space and he got the move done. So no harm done at all there for Ghost. Up into 9th place now, but it's going to lose out to at least 3 drivers with that 9-second time penalty.
Clearly managed to defend from Ross there. Obviously no DRS at this moment. If DRS was on that lap, I feel like Ross would have taken that place.
Mr. Wiggles up to 7th place, past that guy out of the final corner. Mr. Wiggles now has Prev
down to last, behind both Gregs. Didn't catch what happened there.
Wiggles has good pace on these softs, obviously did well in qualifying. Bit of a wiggle, possibly a little bit of contact running so close to Prev through turn 5, but no harm done.
Ghost is racking up the penalties.
Seconds. Yep, getting possibly a little bit frustrated.
That's going to really drop him down.
Decision to kind of bring out the safety car has actually hindered Ghost.
Yeah, whether it was a decision or not, it seemed that way, but yeah, it's not been where the restart as he comes into pits to retire. Ghost is out.
I'm sure Ghost will say that it wasn't intentional, but we'll let you decide. Watching.
Well,
Make up your own mind.
Flu gets a penalty which could affect chances of 5th place. Being behind all those drivers with penalties.
Very true. John has fallen away from Ross on this lap, lap 30, which means now it's a 2-horse race for this race win. Ryan will obviously just be hoping for a podium here.
Flu's down to last. With a spin there.
Oh, he's had a bit of a spin there at turn 5. all this is bringing IIRL Greg back into the points. Did we really expect anything else from Greg here?
Now we have DRS. We've got Ryan overtaking John. But Ross is not close
and John
enough.
cuts the track. Not quite enough space there for both Ryan and John to go side by side. John realised and had to go to the escape road. Did so in a fair manner, which I do respect. Joseph, another time penalty brings him up now to 9 seconds. Might find himself vulnerable to Prev behind.
P6.
As Mr. Wiggles has spun, he's had a moment out of the first chicane, turn 4. He's lost a bit of ground. Doesn't look like he has any damage though. Just trying to look. I can't see any noticeable damage on the car here. As Prev has come from nowhere really to
Fight
look for a
P5.
spot in the top 5.
Yeah.
Prev going for the move into the final chicane, gets it done before the corner, which is good news for him, but Joseph gets a nice exit out of this final chicane and might fight back here. Doesn't get the DRS though with only 1 detection zone. And Prev converts that move now up into 5th place. Does have some time penalties, but the next person back who are going to gain on him with time penalties is Smaller Smiley and Pete, who have found their way back into the points as things stand. What is surprising me is Ross has the quicker tyre, but unfortunately for Ross, he can't get close enough to Fairley here to make that move. Reminder of the tyres that they're on. We'll go back to the penalties. Fairly.
Big Gary says flew for P1. I mean, that would be a hell of a recovery.
You never know. Anything can still happen in this race.
Ross is
Fairley
out of
is starting.
DRS. This is going all of Fairley's way.
To get the tyre advantage now
Wiggles
is
is out.
Fairley. As Mr. Wiggles is out! What has happened with Mr. Wiggles? Is he retired in the pits? Possibly. I think he has retired in the pits, yes. It looked like there was maybe a crash at the final corner, but I got a bit too excited there.
Yeah, don't know what happened with Wiggles, but a rage quit and Flew is out, so we're down to 12 drivers for this last 2.5 laps.
Those bottom 2 will definitely get ahead of Greg Stars as things stand, although Greg has lost a bit of time on this lap, down now 14 seconds away from Deton, as Ross is now coming under massive pressure from Ryan. This is something that we were not expecting to see tonight, based on Fairley and Ross's nice little battle over the past 10 laps or so. But Ryan is now coming back into this. He's got past John.
At this moment, with all
And he
the penalties
fancies-
behind them, this, without incident, this is the top 3, but the positions are not set. Ryan could take second.
Yeah, he fancies it. Just, you can tell from the way he's driving that car that he really does sniff an opportunity here. 1 lap to go, plus the one they're on. Ryan doesn't have to go for the move right now. However,
Yep. It's side by side as
he does,
Ross takes the deep line around the hairpin.
Ryan still behind on the DRS activation, so he gets the DRS. Doesn't have to go for it here. The DRS will stretch down past the final chicane. But Ross gets a good exit. Fairley, without any problems, is going to win this race. Obviously, with these two fighting, Fairley is going to start to drift away a little bit more out in the leads. Last lap of the race. As for everyone else, John is going to finish 4th as things stand. But behind that, I just don't know with the current penalty situation. We'll just have to wait until they finish the line.
Deton's had a spin on the last lap.
TD's getting gassed that Joseph Hills can finish
Good.
6th here.
Deton is now out of the
Smiley.
range of... He's just on the bubble of that 9 seconds, Deton, of getting that point.
It's now or never for Ryan. Ross has got a bit of a wiggle out of the hairpin. This is Ryan's overtaking opportunity here. He has the DRS. How much overtake has he got left? He's got the move done. Ryan up into 2nd on the penultimate corner. Fairly though, it's been a world-class drive from him. Brilliant strategy and takes the win in Canada. Ryan, after a poorly timed mistake there from Ross out of the hairpin, steals P2. John, fantastic race, but just time penalties struggling to get him onto the podium tonight. But P4 still very good. Prev finishes in 5th and Joseph Hales does finish in 6th place.
Who'd have thought
Pete
it?
will finish in 7th and Smaller Smiley in 8th, taking advantage of time penalties ahead of them. That guy and Deton ending in the points here tonight. And IIRL Greg, he's usually the most consistent driver out there, but just had an off race tonight. And I'm sure next week he'll bounce back.
Mr. Wiggles is the true winner. The winner in our heart.
What is this, Titanic?
No, I'm not singing this time. Certainly not trying to take on Celine Dion. Nicki Minaj was one thing last week, but Celine Dion's a whole different ballgame.
Well, it was a very entertaining race. Not the most dramatic we've seen in IIRL, but certainly one of the most interesting. For a while there we thought it'd be a top 5 finish, but eventually 3 stood out as the ones to beat. Fairley chose the best strategy, had perhaps some good fortune with that safety car coming out and being on the mediums, but Ryan and Ross do deserve a podium here tonight from the way they drove. John with the time penalties finishes in 4th, but still some very good points there for the Red Bull team. Prev, after qualifying in the top 10, gains positions. Probably the best race I've seen from Prev this season. Very well done there. And Joseph Hales maintains that 6th place that he maintained in Q1, Q2 and Q3, finishing in the points here tonight. Pete Smaller, only 3 seconds of time penalties, so they jump up into 7th and 8th respectively. That guy Deton in the points, and unfortunately for both of the Gregs, they finish outside of the points. Flew and Wiggles are classified, so it won't be counted as a DNF. And the ones at the bottom there you can see. TD, you troll, mate. Yeah, congratulations, Joseph. Seemed an odd strategy at first, but seemed a strategy. We're not quite sure how it was going to go, but in the end it worked for you, mate. Congratulations. Demon, I'm going to let you decide driver of the day for this evening.
TD's joined the party.
Great.
TD can come in and decide.
TD, do not include your audio. Because I know you're just going to shout. driver of the day, I think,
hadn't
has
even thought much about it.
I think it has to be Fairley for the driver of the day tonight. By the way, next week, yeah, Ryan and Ross, good races. I think Fairley just nabbed it though. So congratulations, Fairley, driver of the day for this evening. You don't want to miss next week. We are at Silverstone next week, and there might be a bit of a surprise for the drivers. They'll know about it in Discord before you next week on stream, but I'll let you know next stream. There is something happening next week
is it more
in
meal
Silverstone. Yeah, meal deals for everyone. So, yeah, please don't miss out next week. Next week it is a lot of our home races here in Silverstone. Join us on the rest of the week's streams. Thursday night for Assist Tier 1, Sunday night, for Assist Tier 2. And as we head off, we're going to raid someone. I hope you have enjoyed the stream tonight. Thank you for everyone who's been in chat. It's been a great vibe. It's been a pleasure streaming. Thank you once again to DemonJonzey for co-commentating with me. It's been a pleasure.
Driver of the day.
Driver of the day.
Commentator of the day.
I'll let you decide that at home. We are gonna raid another F1 streamer. He's doing F1 Manager right now. Hope you enjoy that game. Hope you enjoy his stream. And we'll see you on Thursday night for Assist Tier 1 here in Canada.
He mentioned iRacing. No, probably. I'm leaving. I'm leaving now that TT's here.